Hi everybody, thank you for clicking on this video and deciding to watch me paint. Today we're going to be painting on these cardboard slabs I had cut up. I went in with this white just as a base coat, and I also was using a wet paintbrush, which I realize now was a terrible mistake. The board was starting to curl and I was kind of freaking out, so I was just spreading the paint as fast as I could to let it dry a little bit. I moved on to the next ones just to keep making those base coats so that it'd be easier as I painted later. For these following boards, I didn't use a wet paintbrush. I tried my best to keep all the water out of my paintbrush because I realized it was just ruining my canvases. So I was just trying to use way more paint than water and making sure my brush was completely dry before going onto my little canvases. Then I started cleaning my brushes, making sure I got all the water out, and I went in with a brand new brush because it didn't have water all stuck in it, and I went on to that first canvas again. And then I started to realize that blending colors when they were already dry was really hard, especially on this material that I haven't used before, cardboard. It was not working how I would have loved, but I was trying and it kind of turned out okay towards the end. It took many layers of blending to get it to blend correctly though. And then back to cleaning this brush and getting all the water out of it. I went back and forth so many times trying to get the water out of these brushes so that I wouldn't ruin these cardboard canvases. Then I went in with these clouds and I was trying to make the clouds fade out at the bottom, and I was just trying to make sure the white was really opaque. I never really know what my plan is with these paintings, especially these little ones, because I can just throw something together and it's usually way too much work to think about it in my head beforehand, and I'd rather just start painting. So that's kind of what happened here. I was just adding clouds where I thought a cloud needed to be added, blending it into the background, blending it into that blue and that white, and just trying to make a nice sky. I always get nervous trying to add more clouds because sometimes I'll add one too many and then it throws off the whole composition of my painting and it doesn't look as good as I would like, but I was very pleased with the amount of clouds I was able to squeeze into this little painting and how well they blended. I mean, look at how that's blending there at the bottom. It's just so satisfying. I had to go in and kind of fix my ombre a little bit because I kind of messed up and the shading was just off, and I was trying to make sure these clouds were nice and opaque and you could see the white brilliance. And then I decided to go in and make some mountains. I love mountains, I love mountainscapes, landscapes, and so I was just gonna try some new techniques I'd been learning with the fading into the background mountains with lighter and lighter colors. So you start at the back with the lightest colors and then work your way forward using darker colors. This technique is used by a lot of landscape artists, and I'm surprised I haven't tried it before, but I guess I just didn't care or didn't notice or didn't think about it. But now that I have tried it, I'm never going back. I love the look, I love the dimension and depth it gives, and it brings the surreal landscapes I create just a top-notch higher to realism. And then I wanted to add some kind of green to this canvas. It was very blue before, so I wanted to add some green, and we got that nice pretty meadow green at the very front, and I very much liked that. And I decided this one was probably good and done, so I moved on to the next one. I had to create a nice gradient background again for this. I just had the basic kind of white with a tint of blue before, so I had to create the good sky, and then I just went in with some really lightly put clouds. I didn't want these to be as striking as the ones in the last painting. These I kind of wanted to fade more and be more fluffy and cute, I guess. And I definitely think I achieved that. These were much less contrasting than the last painting. I started to go in with this light mountaintop in the very background, and again progressing my way forward with darker colors in the painting. I was really playing around with color choice here. I was trying to decide what kind of blues I wanted, what kind of greens I wanted, and what kind of blues and greens I liked even. Like, this green wasn't as bright as the last painting. It was a little more dulled down, but I still liked it, and I was trying to find the colors I enjoyed. And so that finished that painting, and I had to clean my brushes real quick, and then I started on the next one, progressively getting smaller. I went in and made sure my sky background was good first. I wanted these colors to kind of get lighter and lighter as they got smaller, so this is going to have progressively less blue in the sky, but I wanted these clouds to also fade like the last one. I just wanted it to be opaque enough but fade and look a little bit realistic. I also noticed I made the clouds in this particular painting much larger than the other clouds for some reason. I don't know if it was just because the canvas got smaller, but these ones are just a lot bigger. There wasn't as much room to fit as many clouds. And I don't know why I did that, but it just happens, you know, you go with the flow, you paint with the flow. But again, I was going in with this same technique of doing the mountains from lightest to darkest and creating depth that way. I was kind of having trouble creating clean lines for this one. I had to go over the same spot over and over and over again to get it perfect, but it worked out in the end. But as you can see, I was just agonizing over this mountaintop forever. I mean, it took me so long. I don't even know, it was crazy, but eventually I decided it was good enough and I could move on to the next mountaintop and darken my color choices. This is when my color choice became really apparent to me. I couldn't decide how to make it different than the last two paintings I had already created. I just kind of finished with this blue, and you'll see later that I went in with more, but I still was just struggling to find new colors starting with this new painting. So like the previous three paintings, I was trying really hard to make sure my brushes were clean and dry, and then I made sure to blend a nice background for the sky for this one. I wanted it to be as close to white as possible, but still dark enough so that the white clouds I was trying to create would be visible. And speaking of those clouds, as you can see, they blended right into the background almost. They were so close, but just different enough that you could see these clouds, and that's exactly what I wanted. I just wanted that slight difference. And then I went in with this same mountain pattern I'd been doing, from lightest to darkest, to create that depth. And then I was slightly struggling here, just making sure that my blues got progressively darker without being exactly like the last three paintings. I kind of struggled a little bit. I had to darken it up on the canvas, and it was a little bit of a struggle, but I made it work. And we added this dark blue at the very bottom at the end. I added a little more white to the clouds just to make sure that they were opaque and noticeable. And then I was like, what am I gonna do for the bottom of this? So I moved to the other one again, and I created a green. This is slightly darker than the last two. Again, I was just playing around with color, trying to find colors that I liked, that worked, that were different, that had different values. I even went back to this previous painting and added a different color to the very bottom because I didn't like the first color I put, and I was just continuing to have fun playing with color today. So I ended up just adding a darker green and then a lighter green to the front of all of these paintings just to make sure I had that depth and color choice.